Mr. Chairman, governors, honoured guests, would you now praise silence for your national chairman, Neil Martin?
I just look forward to this moment every year. Life governors, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, welcome to the 89th annual Governors' Dinner. Tonight's a little bit of a bittersweet occasion for me because I've been doing this for 7 years and I've decided to hand on the baton from the chairman. So next year there'll be a different person stood here addressing you, and I shall look forward to hearing their speeches, especially because the 90th anniversary is represented by a stone, so good luck with that one. But look, I started in 2013. I stood here and I talked about the Governors Club being a golden thread that ran through our company. It's rich tapestry, if you like, and only when you stand back do you actually see what we've created together. The following year, with the help of GPE, Stanhope, Legal and General and the MOJ, we got off to a flying start. And I'm really pleased to say that we finished those buildings successfully, but perhaps the testament is that they're all here tonight, and we're working on future schemes with them. In 2015, I stood here, and for those that come every year and hear me speak, I apologise for that. But otherwise, I came here in 15 and I had eye surgery, so I had a patch and I couldn't see out of one of my eyes. And that wasn't to make any similarities between construction and piracy, because there are none. None that we'd tell you anyway. That's for the cost planners. But I really talked about the importance of vision, because what it did was make me think about how important vision was. And I talked about, you know, the benefit of hindsight, if you like, 2020. I talked about the presence, what's right in front of you, and also the importance of keeping one eye on the future and, you know, looking how to predict and foresee. And I'm not claiming that I'm good in the dark arts of predicting the future. I leave that to our commercial team and their cost plans. But I do think that we kept our eye on the future. What's really pleasing is, if I look back over the last 18 months, we've completed some fantastic buildings, all of us in this room. You know, we've handed over Elwick Place in Ashford, Chiswick Bridge, which I was very nervous about, and the team proved me wrong, Devonshire Square, Dumbarton in Scotland, the council offices. We've also completed the Energy Centre and MP2 Building 3 at Elephant and Castle, and not to forget IQL Buildings S5 and S6. So we've completed a lot, which is fantastic. And then you think about, well, where are we now at this present? Well, over the last 18 months, we've started on some fantastic schemes. We started working with Stanhope on 150 Bishopsgate. I think it's now called One the Plaza. We started work with Craig Ewan in St John's, Allied London in Manchester, and a number of other projects, which has been absolutely fantastic over the years, and I'm grateful for that. But then I look forward and think about what do we have ahead of us, and we've got a great pipeline. We've got Commonwealth Games, we've got the Town Hall, we've got our own internal pipeline, which is just absolutely superb. And I'm delighted with that, Oxford House as well. And I'm worried that I've missed somebody off, and I probably have, so it won't be my last speech as chairman. It might be my last speech as MD as well. But the reason I reference all of those is because without everybody in this room, we wouldn't be able to deliver on that future that we set out in 15. And so I am truly grateful for the clients, the supply chain, and the consultants to help us do that. So thank you very much. And I really am very grateful for that. The following year, if that was about vision, it was about sailing. I like my stories, and I compared the Governors Club to a diamond. I talked about how you look at a diamond through precision, quality, and clarity. And I compared that to our own company, and hopefully I made some, you know, similarities there and brought that a little bit to life. The following year after the diamond, I then thought about what we need to do. And I talked about the company as a great ship, a great cruise liner, if you like, a majestic liner sailing the seas, the seven oceans. And I talked about the importance of having a crew and how important it was to have a loyal crew. And I think we've been very lucky in that space over the years to have such fantastic people who work for Lend-Lease. And I'd summarise that this year by the Long Service Awards, which I host, which turns out to be quite a long lunch. I can never quite remember what we talk about. But it's always fun, not the next day so much. And the guys there celebrated a collective 390 years. And I think that's incredible. And I'd just like to call out, so congratulations, because I think it is important we recognise these people. Kevin Burton, Graham Doble, James Pridgent, Gareth Dale, Ian Roden, Paul Harding, Steve Wright, Chris Howcroft, Stuart Bohill, Gary Cook, Andy Lee, John Power, and not least of all, Phil Linsky. I don't know if he's here, I haven't seen him, who did 45 years with the company. So congratulations. It's a fantastic achievement, all of you. But returning to the ship, not only do you need a good crew and a solid ship to navigate choppy waters, you also need supply vessels, so in our language, the supply chain. And I sometimes think our supply chain gets overlooked. I know for a fact that over the last 7 years, we would not have been half as successful as we have been without their help. And some of them are here tonight, so thank you very much for that. You've made a big difference to our business. Although the last time I said that, one of the MDs, who will remain nameless, caught me at the bar afterwards, and he was having a drink with me, and he said, you do know, Neil, you know, you talked about the ship and the supply vessel. I said, yeah. He said, it's no love boat, it's more like carry-on cruising. So I took that as a compliment, because I've been always a big fan of Sid James, and so we'll see what we get tonight. Then the year after that was a year that I've talked about golden threads, visions and ships. But for me, the 2017 speech was a funny one, really, because I turned 50 that year, and apparently it's a golden anniversary. I'm not sure I'd give it that tagline if I was rebranding it, but it gave me the opportunity to talk about 50 years of the Governors Club and think about what that meant. And I was immensely proud about how that works and what we're able to achieve as a club. And I am confident the next 50 years will be equally as important and successful. And then last year, finally, I mulled over the theory of the bake-off tent. I still love this idea. Only me, of course, likes the idea. But I like the idea of all the contractors being inside a big bake-off tent. You know, you're at benches building your buildings. And I mulled over what that might look like as all the different contractors got going. And I couldn't help thinking that, you know, you've got to get your recipe right, because if you're not careful, you end up with a fruitcake, which in my opinion is the single-stage tendering of this world. Or you don't get your recipe right, or your ingredients, and you don't use the right ingredients. You use, instead of using Waitrose Finest, you might use home brands. And then I talked about the bake time, how long it takes to build these buildings, right? Getting that right and that temperature right, because otherwise, as we all know, you end up with a soggy bottom and lack of crumb. And so when I think of it, I stand here and I think about all those speeches that I've given, it's hard to see the theme, I've decided. And if you're confused, I'm bloody confused myself. But it's this, really, and it may come through. The Governors Club, right, is unique. And I say that because the Governors Club is that rich thread that runs through our company. It's what combines the life governors with the next generation. The Governors Club is a diamond, right? It's precious. There's nothing else like it in the industry. It is what it is. The Governors Club is like a liner. It's that spirit, that great, majestic spirit of those golden days. And then finally, it is that magic ingredient. Every master chef has that magic ingredient which guarantees he gets a star baker. That's how I see the Governors Club. And throughout its 89 years, it's always been true to its principle, which is fellowship. And I think it will stay true to that. It's raised a tremendous amount of money for charities and helped them going forward. It's also changed the way we think about ourselves. And I'm so proud that the club continues to go from strength to strength. So whoever the chairman is, or chairman, or chairwoman next year, I'm hoping they have the same dedication, enthusiasm, and I'm sure they will for the club. They'll bring some new ideas and help us to modernise and continue to be relevant, as we've always been, to the industry. Now, before I raise a toast, which I haven't got a glass, I just realised, so you'll have to imagine that, I do need to thank Stuart Hartley. Stuart's doing the reply on behalf of the governors. It is a difficult gig. Trust me, stood here looking at you lot, I'm telling you, it's hard work. I thought construction was difficult. So thank you, Stuart, for stepping forward. I'm also pleased to announce that John Conway, who has called off sick tonight, has volunteered, or he has now, for next year's speech. John has managed to... some of us know that John has managed to avoid that honour and privilege for a number of years, but now we've got 500 witnesses. I don't think he can go anywhere but stand here and do the speech. So I'll be looking forward to that. And then finally, I was always told to end a speech with a bit of advice. So, be nice to your children, they choose your retirement homes. And so on that, I'd like to toast the Governor's Club. The Governor's Club.